Alright, I think I'm just gonna fill in my backstory now.
Okay.
Be
How do you want,
careful.
like, the backstory to end? Like, where are we supposed to end up? Like, for the adventure to begin? A tavern?
Yeah, you'll end up in a tavern. In fact, let me go ahead and just let me just go ahead and say this here. For some of you, you'll be coming in from the wilds and whatnot. I believe that Sana or Arana, pardon me, Arana, will be coming in from the wilds. But a lot of you coming in from the more civilized areas would be coming in from the um, coming in, kind of fleeing the Aldebaran Empire, which is currently in a state of civil war.
Oh, really?
Divided mostly along racial lines. It's the elves have thrown a coup, and the humans are and other associated races that were a part of the city-states of Aldebaran um, have kind of marshaled their forces against them, and so you have this kind of like racial civil war going on
So it's like,
within that.
it's everyone else against the elves, and the elves are, like, basically the Nazis.
That's one way of looking at it.
Okay,
There's definitely at least two perspectives on the
okay,
issue,
gotcha, alright.
and
Yeah, right.
uh, the
There's Himmler's perspective, and then there's, like, I don't
uh,
know, like...
Well, no, there's always a third perspective.
the
Oh,
Everyone's
yeah?
just assholes.
the
They'll
old
be assholes.
but the
Who's the
old
third perspective? Stalin?
the Aldebaran Empire was actually a merger of two different things. There's the Council of Seasons, which is kind of an elvish nation or elvish form of governance,
Okay.
and the Aldebaran city-states, which were more, like I said, more human with some other associated races also involved.
Okay.
So it was the merger of those two things which created them, and and there was a lot of it worked for a while, but there was a lot of political strife. But it helped them fend off their enemies from all sides. But there's a lot of political strife, and now there's been a coup, and
Cool.
so basically anywhere east, most people are there's a lot of refugees, like leaving the empire, and most of them are going east or north, or in generally east or north, maybe south in some cases too. But if you're on the western edge of the Aldebaran Empire, it's wilds out to the west. And in fact, it's a natural sanctuary declared by the Aldebaran Empire some 700 years ago, whatnot. And they didn't even allow anybody to really come and settle here. There were people already settled here, and they let them stay, but um, they they basically banned additional like more organized settlements from going over here. There was a city called Segwyr Falls, but
Ah,
there was a city, but there was some battles or some conflict that you guys probably aren't up on as far as history goes, and it was basically abandoned around the same time the sanctuary um, abandoned or destroyed around the same time the sanctuary was declared during those fights.
hmm.
But anyway, now the empire is in civil war. Everybody, the preserve is no longer enforced, and people have been moving back into Segwyr Falls. The refugees that are fleeing to the west, they'd rather probably go east or north or whatnot. But if you're already on the western side of the empire, you don't want to cross the entire empire. It's in the middle of civil war, so
So where
just
do,
head to
like,
the west.
where do we start? We start inside the Empire or outside the Empire?
You start just escaping the empire. Basically, you're just
Okay,
escaping the empire and reaching Segwyr Falls, which is like a ruined city, which people started to try to rebuild. For
gotcha.
Name for the stream.
what do you say?
I don't like the Twitch name for the stream.
Can we TPK again?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Alright, wait, so
we've only had one. The chances are good that this won't be a TPK.
The GM is gonna kill us. No.
Well, it's the GM's
Well,
job to try to kill us.
no, it's just Steam job's to build the world, and it just so happens that I'm for everybody to know I'm not tailoring the encounters to your level 1 group. You get a level 1 encounter. you are at the most dangerous point in your character's lives at level 1, because you are at your weakest. As you get stronger, you will actually get more survivable. You will tackle more dangerous things, which will have risk involved. But in general, you'll be able to survive more and more things, more and more
Take the
of
jobs
the
that
world.
seem easy. Don't Leroy.
So
Come
yeah.
on, let's do this. Leroy Jenkins.
So anyway, yeah, that's the backdrop.
So let me just make sure I like understand. So like there's the Empire. It's like the Elven Empire, and they're like
it's
they're
elven. It was a combination of elven and human power structures to create the empire.
Oh, gotcha. So it's an Elven human society.
It was two separate societies which merged together to create one society, but then
Okay.
now have broken back apart.
Okay, gotcha. And like, but before they're trying to gobble up like the other, like the land from other races, like the.
Well, gobble up, sure. Maybe defend themselves in other cases. Again, that's
Try to come in the mountains. Watch what happens.
That's a perspective thing.
Yeah.
Once again.
Okay. So there's conflict, and then the Empire like. So is the Empire stronger than all the surrounding communities, or?
Well, I mean, it was.
It was before it broke.
But
up.
now it's destroying itself. So
It's basically Rome.
Yeah.
It's shattered in half, and now it's fighting itself.
Yeah, and so basically that conflict is spilling over too, hence the refugees.
yeah, you guys are refugees from that. I mean, fighting in that war is not a good way to get loot and adventure necessarily. It's a good way to
To die.
good way to die in a hail of arrows, basically. So
a good way to get wrecked.
Yeah, it's a good way to get wrecked. So you guys are heading out to the wilds because I mean it's way closer for you guys to come up west than it is to go east through all that war. And at the same time, there's probably adventure in the wilds. There's probably who knows.
You can only carry so many pointy sticks to throw at people.
All right. So what are so if I'm like a hill dwarf, like where would I come from?
Well, the nice thing about dwarves is you can pop right out of the ground.
Pop out of the ground.
We travel the Underdark effectively.
I mean, yeah. So you could.
Oh.
So you don't have to come in as a refugee. You could if you want to, but you could say you don't come in as a refugee as well.
You just wander around, looking around to kill shit.
Okay. So dwarves aren't they don't have their own societies.
They do. But once again, so like those are around, but
we learn not to deal with the surface idiots.
There's not
surface dwellers.
Yeah,
dwellers.
Yeah, they're around, and you probably did come from one of them, but it still means you could have came up top and then ended up a refugee anyway, or you could have just came up and wandered over to Segwyr Falls, and then you wouldn't have been a refugee.
Okay, who's like the dwarven god, or like you just pick? They're all the.
You just pick. Any of the gods are.
I just picked Ard.
They're not necessarily race dependent gods like you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
they're more like character dependent.
Yeah, and well, some of them do tend. For example, Grimir does tend to be more of a dwarven god. There's a lot of dwarves that worship Grimir.
That makes sense. Forging,
Yeah, the world champion, but he can be worshipped by anybody. He's not pegged to being a dwarf god. He may be a god that dwarves worship. He may appear as a dwarf, or however the gods appear or whatnot. But, that's mystical divine stuff. So
cool.
who can say for sure? Sure, they can say, but is what they say true?
Gotcha.
Shalriel's often an elven god, or seen as one, I believe, but doesn't mean that
What's the underground society called? The Underdark?
Yeah, the Underdark. I mean that's probably the common word for what Overlanders would call the. If you're already underground, I mean, sure, Underdark still works. You might have more differentiation, like you might call it the Shallows if you're up near the top.
Okay, the Shallows if you live up top.
Potentially, yeah, that's one distinction. Okay. If you're.
You're in the wrong neighborhood when you start meeting pit fiends.
All right. So yeah. So who would come in as refugee? Let's see here.
No one? What?
Probably most people would. I mean, that's the most common thing, but you don't have to. So,
Well, I come from the woods, you know.
well,
You're coming as a hermit.
there's plenty of woods in the
Yes.
Empire, but you're a hermit.
Em-
So yeah, but you're a hermit. So yeah, that's right. You came in, so you would not be a refugee. Um,
Them people makes why I got to leave my woods, you know.
Yeah.
um,
Like I'm just gonna say this: if I'm dealing with a elf, oh god, first an elf hick and a half orc that's stubborn than a bag of rocks.
all right. So Glannis, Dalta, you're probably a refugee. Is that correct?
What? Say that again.
You're probably a refugee, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm a dwarf, so I guess.
Oh wait, so
I'm not
you're a
really
dwarf. Yeah,
involved in this.
you wouldn't have to be.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, I guess I could be. Well,
up to you.
I'm
Choo-
thinking the backstory's gonna go something like this. Like I start out as like just some guy in like an underdark village, and then I hear about the conflicts. And since I'm a cleric, I'm like, yeah, there's so much suffering going on, you know. So like, why don't I like go and like volunteer at like hospitals and stuff, you
Mhm.
know? And then I can become a refugee, you know, like
Yeah.
doing like.
Well,
You know what I mean? Like, you know those guys that go to like foreign countries and they like aid workers.
I
Like,
like
I
to
could
do
be an
that
aid
one.
worker. You know, I like that.
well, there's conflict, but you probably realize that I don't know. Maybe you went over there and started helping people and whatnot, but then you realized that maybe you just got disenchanted with the conflict, like you know,
Yeah.
just yeah, it didn't feel like it was for anything,
And
and
then
you
I picked
decided.
up a warhammer because I use a warhammer.
Yeah,
So
so in that case, yeah, you could have went to the war
Yeah.
and you were just healing people, but it just seemed the pointlessness of it just seemed to it got to you after a while. You didn't know what people were fighting for anymore, even though they were so sure. To you, being not your world, you just didn't get it, so you decided to head west,
Mm, okay.
and that's how you became a refugee.
Gotcha.
That sound
Damn
good?
it.
I like that.
Okay.
All right.
And you said you thought I probably would have not been a refugee,
Yeah,
correct?
I think that your people might actually be from the west. Not there's generally people don't think there's anything to the west, but I say your people might have been like more of like an isolated,
Makes sense.
yeah, kind of like an isolated, not well known people that exist out in the west somewhere, and you could have just traveled, you know, far and wide and ended up in Segwyr Falls.
Okay.
Uh, Probably running a lot and using your climbing abilities, and maybe you actually came down the shelf for part of the time. There's a large like cliff side which runs for hundreds of miles. That Segwyr Falls is located on the top. There's a river that runs through Segwyr Falls and over that shelf. Um, so it almost seems like a natural point for you to maybe have, you know, been drawn to and ended up here.
Okay.
Um,
3, 4, 5.
So like the Underdark's not really like involved in the conflict, right? They're just
No.
kind of like doing their own thing.
Yeah, they're kind of doing their own thing.
All right, cool.
Arthur, your trip down Vulture's Run, which is what they call the road, it had a different name at one point. For most people, just call it Vulture's Run. Out to Segwyr Falls, was pretty was pretty safe, pretty uneventful as far as being like having to deal with any attackers or whatnot.
Okay.
But and you eventually find you happen to you do see a lot of like dead bodies and like a lot of like carrion birds and the like
Along
as
the
you're
road?
passing. Yeah, along the road.
Okay.
But it's not so bad, and you even see even though most of these bodies are looted, you can see one has there's a gold ring just like on the ground next to one of them. If you want to go ahead and grab it, looks like free money.
What? Just like looting bodies?
Well, this particular ring has fallen off and is rolled off away, so it's kind of indirectly looting bodies. Are you okay with that or no? Here's your moral question.
Probably not. I mean, I probably wouldn't take the ring.
Okay, you leave the ring and continue on by. But again, once again, it's not that bad of a journey. Go ahead and write down SL5 in the notes section of your character. It stands for stress level. You can put ML0 if you want to, or just leave
Wait,
that
for
blank.
me?
Yeah,
Where's that stress level?
it's just a note. You're just making a note SL5, or just write stress level 5.
Oh, just anywhere?
Yeah, the place for you to write notes and stuff. You
Okay.
can put it there.
Okay.
And let's see here.
Yeah, miscellaneous notes. Yep. SL5.
Yep.
I don't know what that means.
It means stress level.
Yeah, but like, is high like more stressed or low more stressed?
High is more stressed.
Okay, so
yeah.
I'm pretty stressed.
No, 5
No?
is considered low.
Oh, it is?
Mhm.
Okay.
Lowish.
All right.
Everybody, in fact, I believe is going to write down stress level 5 from this group.
Yeah. Is this like a darkest dungeon kind of thing? Like it's
A
like
little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Freaking out! I'm bugging out, man. I'm bugging out.
It's an aspect of the campaign, we'll say.
That's cool. Oh. All right.
It might not come into effect for you ever, but you know it's a potential. Okay, so
God damn it.
No, that's not fair.
that's how you make the real money, Kraven. All right, so yeah, everybody gets to let's see here. Glannis, when you reach Segwyr Falls, it's a ruined city. Like there's like busted walls and all the houses, the roofing is like caved in certain areas. A lot of it's stone housing, so the stone is held up pretty well, and any building that was stone is kind of held up pretty well. But there's still damage, and you're just walking through. You're walking through just a ruined city, but there's like signs that are kind of pointing you in direction that say like follow the King's Road, and which is odd because you're not aware of any king probably, and you also notice some just like several like bloodstained pools on the road inside of this ruined town. You just like pass by until you reach the bridge that heads over the Segwyr River, which runs through the center of town, and at that bridge there's about a half dozen guards. You guess they're wearing like chainmail with like black leather underneath, and they have like a kind of like simply made like badge with like a lightning bolt going down it. You guess they're guards. They stop you and tell you there's a bridge tax of 1 gold. Well, for anybody, let's see here. For Sana, you didn't, Arana, you didn't have to pay that tax. You came in from the other side.
Okay.
Everybody else, go ahead and roll 1d2. If you roll a 1, you pay the gold bridge tax. Otherwise, you're fine.
The bridge tax? Where is this bridge? Like, is this?
It's in the center of the town of Segwyr Falls. However, you didn't see anybody really inhabiting the east side. So if you went over this bridge, you came in from the east, and you didn't see anyone there. Didn't I say you had to pay if you rolled a 1?
Do you?
It didn't matter. You actually do have to pay automatically. Any refugee has to pay.
I'm not.
So,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
Can I offer to heal someone? Like, I got mad medicine skills. Like,
they're like, yeah, do that in town, but first pay the gold.
What?
Yeah,
no.
like the town's right over
Yeah.
there. They'll pay you
That's not how it
for.
works. Like, there's no
for-
healing if just let me pass. Like, there's people in need over there. You know. What I mean?
Exactly. That's why you got to pay the gold to get to the
Oh
people
my
in
god!
need.
All right, fine. I'll pay.
Yeah, get used to these guys. We're gonna be encountering them a lot.
All right, fine.
So anyway,
I mumble something obnoxious about this guy not seeing the greater picture.
yeah. They kind of chuckle as you like walk by, and
Yeah.
and
The whales.
they point you out. They say the halfway in is the building with the big red roof. When you go in,
All right.
and so you guys had you guys all kind of gravitated there. You kind of like pointed it out. It's kind of like they're like anybody that kind of comes to the town looks new is like the halfway in the building the big red roof to go there. So that's why you guys all end up at the halfway in. Which it feels like you're inside the city finally, so you're not sure why it's called the halfway in, but there's going inside of it. It's a fairly large building. It's actually pretty busy. You can see some more of those guards with the you can see some of those guards with the lightning bolt insignia on them, and there's a big hole in the roof where there's like a space where there's like no table, and like some moss on the stone floor where water's probably rains down in that particular area and drains. But despite that fact, like I said, there's a lot of people in here. Some of them look like refugees. A lot of like armed people though. A lot of people, kind of like yourselves, who look like they're ready to do a little battle. You guys all end up being seated together in the same table by a pretty barmaid. She's kind of a roundish face and long blonde hair, and she seems busy and just sits quickly and tells you guys that meat is a silver and stew is a silver as well, and eventually you guys can mark off the silver and have either of those if you want, and and a halfling comes up and pulls up like a stool next to your actually well that's a halfling pulls up a stool next to your table and pops up there and she says hey I'm Lily and I just want to welcome you all to the halfway inn and I assume Norel already told you we got meat and stew and if you want a room that's it's a gold piece just come and talk to me behind the bar and she kind of looks over to and she says there's a board over there if people armed like yourself often like to take a look and see if you're looking for work of that nature, of an armed nature, then you can head over to the board and see what people have up there. If you don't like it, people come by and might just ask for your help a fair amount. We're kind of known for that type of thing around here. So anyway, I hope you like the place. Sorry about the roof. Just can't get any funds collected to get that fixed just yet. But anyway, I hope you guys have a good meal and again come see me for a room. She nods and then jumps off from the stool and walks back over behind the bar. You can see what's probably her daughter and another little girl behind the bar as well. Looks like they're doing some sort of like work behind the bar or something.
Do we all know each other from before?
No, you guys do not. You guys have all just been sat together at this bar.
I was gonna say, are
like
we even all there?
we don't know each other.
So why don't we go ahead and have you guys describe each other to at this point? Whoever wants to go first is more than
I
one.
guess I'll go first. I'm Arana. I'm a core rogue. The core is a race of climbers, blue skinned, silver hair and eyes.
Hmm.
I have a short bow, a rapier, a couple daggers, and almost what looks like climbing gear strapped. Like I've definitely spent some time rock climbing and that sort of thing.
Nice.
Arana probably got a lot of like stares and whispers when she walked into the bar, as Core are rarely seen.
Nice. Well, I'm a wood elf, a hermit wood elf, so I've been living in the woods for 100 years. So I look that way also. I have copper skin, brown hair, and I don't talk usually. I just grumble and gesture and look around. When I came into the city, I was like, "Oh my God, what's this crazy place?" And I have a longbow and a spear on my back and 2 hand axes.
I'm sorry, now I just have the idea in the back of my head. What's that, elf? Timmy fell down a well? Just points at a well. I would assume since I was playing yesterday, I'd already be here before they showed up, so I'd let them introduce themselves first.
Yes. Oh, if people want to know my name, if someone asks me, I'll just take out the axe and carve a spider in the table and point. That's me.
Okay.
That's
The elfic from the country. Perfect.
All right, I guess I'll go. Hi, my name is Glanis Dalta. I'm from the Underdark, small village. You know, humble means I come from, and when I was younger, I was very inspired by the wise dwarves of the village. So I took to, their worship, and I became a village healer eventually. When I came of age, and I heard news of all the conflicts in like the surface. So, I entered like the Civil War to, offer my services as a healer, and I eventually joined a field hospital that, helped out fighters from both sides of the war, but eventually, like these unmarked marauders destroyed the field hospital. I barely got out with my life, and I never found out, which side the fighters that destroyed the hospital belonged to, and I found myself just wandering, in a, I guess a horde of refugees. And I just followed the road aimlessly, and I found my way here to this tavern. And I'm a hill dwarf. I have black hair, kind of short. I'm I wear armor. I got a warhammer in one hand and a shield in the other, and I'm really good with medicine and healing spells. Personality traits, I really believe in teamwork and friendship. So, like, I hope all of us can be good friends. My life's ambition is to save the whales, but I think it's more important to save human beings. Given this conflict. So, I've put my my ambitions on hold for now. Just given what's going on now. I'm bonded to Ard, the father of life. And
Nice.
my flaws, my flaws, I have low intelligence and charisma, so I'm kind of an idiot, and I'm kind of clumsy too. Like my dexterity's not very high. Charisma's pretty low too, so sometimes I can be socially oblivious.
Arana just thinks, I couldn't tell.
But I have a good heart, so it's all good. So that's me. It's nice to meet all of you.
I raise my drink to you.
Thanks,
Okay,
bro.
I'm just gonna be off to the side listening. I'm assuming as priest, you're the last one of the group to introduce yourself. Then I'll introduce myself to you since I'm the first
All right.
returning guy here.
Oh, okay, cool.
Hold on, let me pause this game. Sorry, I'm multitasking. Anyways, Hi, my name is Priest. How are you guys at Alcoholic Anonymous doing? Pretty much, Priest is a he's kept to himself a lot. He doesn't talk very much. But when he does, it's usually just in spreading the word of Ard. Which is the religion he used, or the guy he chose.
We found prayer buddies.
We got some Ardites.
Or he didn't choose to be an Ard or to follow the Ard. He used to live underground, and then an unknown force pushed his family out of the underground and into this temple as a safe haven. And when his father never returned and his mother died from age, he just grew up in the temple, and then eventually he began to learn about Ard and began to travel around spreading the word of Ard, and found himself here. That's pretty much about it.
It's a proselytizer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So